What is God saying to a woman who has really strong feelings for a man that just aren't going away? Is this a sign that God wants this woman to keep waiting for this man, or is God saying something else? Here are 4 possible reasons for why God is not removing a woman's strong feelings for a man. Number 1, if this man is her future husband, but he just needs more time to know that this is his future wife. If it were up to us, we would all prefer that our feelings would rise and fall all at the same time, so it would be very clear who God wants us with and who God doesn't want us with. But in reality, that's not how life usually works when it comes to relationships. Thus, it is possible that God is not removing this woman's feelings for this man because that would go against God's ultimate will for this couple. In other words, maybe God's solution is not going to be to remove the woman's feelings for the man, but rather to give the man feelings for the woman, and thus they will be equally yoked, so to speak, when it comes to mutual biblical romantic interest in each other. The truth is, if we always ran away from those things that we need to wait for, then we would have very little of the things that God wants to give us. Either way, sometimes you just need to wait a little bit longer to get the clarity that God is going to give you. Lamentations 3:25, the Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. Number 2, this woman has come to believe that this is her future husband, even though he's really not. So while point 1 is true, it could be that this woman has feelings for this man because eventually this man will have feelings for her and they're going to get married one day. But of course, we do need to consider the other possibility. So what should you do? If this man has godly qualities, and there are many good signs that you two might make a great couple, but for whatever reason, he doesn't have as strong as feelings as you, he's not pursuing you, but those feelings in you just aren't going away. My advice, I think it would be biblically wise to give it a little bit more time. I'm thinking weeks or months. Pray about it, see what happens, try to be applying the Spirit's wisdom to this situation. And then with more evidence, you'll probably have a better idea of what is or isn't going to happen. My caution would be to endlessly wait, to just say, I know this is my future husband, despite everything else that's happening around me, despite all the evidence God is sending, I am holding fast to this idea that this man is my future husband. That can get you into trouble. God speaks through facts occurring in reality. If there's no factual evidence that this man will ever pursue you, it's very likely God has a much better relationship option in mind for you. While it's possible this man's feelings could change, it's just unwise to give a man too much emotional attention when his actions have not warranted that attention from you. Number 3, God wants this woman to proactively invite this man to pursue her. Now let's flip back to that possibility that this really is the man God has for you. God may not be taking away your feelings for this man because he wants those feelings in you to motivate you to do something that will spark his interest and pursuit. So I'm not saying that you should continually invite a man to keep pursuing you, but sometimes a woman's invitation is like the first initial match that gets lit to the wick of the candle. After that initial strike, the flame then continues to burn. So likewise, sometimes a woman's invitation sparks the man to then continue an ongoing pursuit. A woman should not continue to ongoingly invite the man. You don't keep striking the match trying to get it lit. But once you do that, if he is the man God has for you, sometimes that initial spark keeps him going. And you can see that in the Bible with Ruth and Boaz. In Ruth chapter 3, verse 9, she does something proactive and invites Boaz to pursue. But then from the rest of the story, Ruth does not keep inviting. She does not keep doing more and more and more and more. Rather, Boaz, because was her future husband, was motivated, had God's wisdom, and took many action steps after that to keep pursuing her. Number 4, God is not removing this woman's feelings for this man because God wants this woman to focus on other relationship options, but she's refusing and continuing to focus on this one man. God isn't going to force you to move on. He actually does respect our choices. Of course, he's going to be sending us signs. Of course, he's going to lead us down the right road if we're willing to follow. He'll let us know what he does want us to do if we're humble and not relying on our own wisdom. But again, if we are actively resisting and don't want to hear what he's saying because we don't like it, then that is going to affect our feelings. One way to overcome this resistance to this idea that you don't like, I don't want to move on from this man, therefore I'm going to avoid that whole concept. One way to resist that and overcome that is to dwell on the goodness of God. You may feel like this is the best thing for you, but you have to remember God's goodness is greater than our own ideas of goodness. And in faith, you have to believe God knows best. I trust God's goodness. Read in the scriptures how good God is, and then that frees you to trust him even when he's asking you to do something you wish he wasn't asking you to do. In the end, if you do follow God faithfully, you will be able to look back at those past trials you went through and be able to see that God really does know best. This was the right choice. You will either look back at that man and be like, wow, God saved me. That would have been a miserable relationship. Or you will be with this new man that you don't even know about right now, and you'll say, wow, I can see now that God had something much better for me that's a much better fit for me. A thumbs up's a big blessing to me in this ministry because it helps this content spread to more people who might need to see it as well. I'm Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com, and I'll see you at the next video.